There are terrifying stories about this jungle. Explorers described a green inferno filled with bloody headhunters. Although it is better known today, this region continues to frighten and fascinate. One is never completely at ease visiting Borneo. Going upstream on its rivers is magnificent. The temptation to dive into this immense cavern of greenery is irresistible. And then, in the depths of the forest, there is the strange feeling that man doesn't belong here. And yet the jungle is inhabited. Men have left their mark here. Until the end of the 19th century, visitors came back with strange stories, which since have become legends, like the existence of a half-man, half-beast, a ferocious cannibalistic sort of humanoid with a long tail. Since that time, we have learned that human beings have always traveled through this primeval forest, a people known as the Punan. The origins of this people are obscure. Some scientists believe that the Punan are the oldest inhabitants of Borneo. Others believe they were part of the Great Migration from the south of China, which colonized the island more than 3,000 years ago. We still know almost nothing about the Punan. They number a few thousand and live in small groups scattered over an immense territory, and each encounter with them raises more questions than it provides answers. Usually, Machat lives alone in the jungle. But every year in March, the old man goes back to his family because the rainy season is also the season for the group to gather swallows' nests. On the sides of Mount Sajau lie several hidden caves with nestling swallows inside. To get there, Majat's children and their families have to walk for hours. At the entrance to the cave, the little group finds the hut on stilts that they left months earlier. A few strips of rattan, some branches, and wild palm tree leaves are enough to make it livable again. Once the shelter is ready, gestures become much slower. The Punan rest and seem to meditate in silence. They are content to be doing nothing, indifferent to the passing of time. Elsewhere in the jungle, other families didn't have time to set up a shelter on the cliff. Surprised by the rain, they'll sleep at the entrance to their cave around a big fire, which will protect them from the cold and the damp. The Punan have no religious rites, nor do they have a shaman to communicate with the gods or to heal their wounds. A smothered cry sometimes breaks the silence, an anxious groan, linking the solitude of these people with their sole protector, the forest. The chanting recounts how small man is in the face of this natural plant world, which has no beginning and no end. It also tells of the solitude and the privation of these nomads. To survive in the jungle, the Punan had to invent hunting techniques suited to their environment. Wild game is often small and perched up high. They therefore made the sarbakan, a weapon that was powerful, accurate, and silent. Majat coats the tips of his arrows with a poison powerful enough to kill a man. Manipulating this paste, containing strychnine, must be done very carefully. Majat therefore keeps the children at a distance. Although he has already been initiated into the art of hunting, Saloon watches every move his father makes. The young hunter has learned that fire solidifies the poison, and the palm cones fixed at the base of the arrows guides them to their target. Majat and his family almost never leave the shelter of the forest. The Punan believe that the sun makes them ill, giving them headaches and making their eyes burn. They prefer the protective shadows of the jungle. Wherever they go, they always take the animals they've adopted along. Dengun the otter was found abandoned in a burrow near a stream. Nawak took it in and has been caring for it, feeding it, and giving it the affection of a mother. Kayan, the little monkey, is a new arrival. Hunters killed its mother, and the family adopted the little orphan. It was the same with Satu, another monkey with a long tail. It's now become part of the family. Once accepted, wild pigs, monkeys, otters, and even bears become members of the group. No harm will ever come to them, since for the Punan, killing an adopted animal is like eating one of their own. Every morning, the nomads leave in search of food. There are an incredible number of different kinds of fruit, leaves, ferns, bamboo shoots, and tubers in the forest. Majat, however, prefers the solitude of hunting to gathering food together. The Punan are tireless hikers. Tracking an animal can last an entire day. Their ability to travel through the thick jungle without making the slightest noise is legendary from one end of Borneo to the other. This young deer never heard a thing, and when he sensed the presence of man, it was too late. Although the poison works quickly on tree-dwelling game, it takes 10 or 20 minutes to paralyze a large animal. Majat doesn't want to lose the trail of the wounded deer. He must follow the animal and, if necessary, finish him off with the spearhead, which is at the tip of his sarbakan. Contrary to other peoples who shape the land in order to cultivate it, the Punan never seek to dominate the area in which they live. They are perfectly satisfied to take whatever they need from the jungle. This way of life enables them to avoid great famines and to survive under any circumstances. The hunter is so skilled that the animal is tied up in a matter of minutes. Deer meat is very well liked, but Majat would rather have gone back with a white, bearded wild boar on his back, weighing more than 100 kilograms. He wouldn't have minded carrying the load at all. Today, however, Majat knows that he can feed his entire family with no problem. Tomorrow, perhaps, there will be more meat, but tomorrow is another day. The skulls of captured animals are sometimes displayed in front of the hut. The men are not trying to invoke any spirits. They are just trophies recalling days of abundance. Even when they try to cure the meat, the heat and humidity forbids them to keep it for very long. And so everyone eats as much as he can when food is abundant. When there is no food, the Punan are capable of fasting for several days. The majority of Borneo's nomads rely on a tree called the sago palm. From the trunk of this tree, they extract a food as rich in starch as a potato called sago. However, there are no sago palms here, and out of necessity, and sometimes for pleasure, the Punan look for foods they cannot find in the forest. For a few kilograms of rice, salt, and other products, the Punan gather resins, incense-producing wood, camphor, and rattan, which they sell to merchants on the coast. As inhabitants of Sajau, Majat and his sons are experts at gathering sarang burung, or swallows' nests, the white gold of the caves. It is here in the deepest parts of the cave that the swallows nestle. Thanks to a direction system similar to those of bats, these birds can move around in total darkness. They build their nests in the high parts of the cave to avoid snakes and rodents. The Punan's agility enables them to get to seemingly unattainable recesses. To reach the heights where the birds fly, Saloon must make sure that the bamboo on which he is lifting himself up is solid. The most experienced bird's nest gatherers are able to choose the right makeshift ladders and keep them in good condition. Their lives depend on it. Before removing a nest, the hunter makes sure there are no eggs inside. If it's empty, it means that either they haven't been laid yet or that the babies have already left. To make these nests, the birds regurgitate their saliva in numerous white intermingled strands. When the strands dry, the saliva hardens and forms a basket in the shape of a half moon, which hangs on the rough surface of the rock.
kaman na bahit at jarana, manago ko rip kay mo, bot kay ni, di no, tinurun kay lamak lang ini. Kedapa saya dapat tajuk, malakan jadi ikat mongo, mana diniai.
Majat says that the nests are valuable because they enable him to procure rice and his favorite tobacco. Everything else he needs is there for the taking. He and his children are familiar with the little town of Tanjung Selor, a few days' walk going north. Majat is always surprised that this totally different world doesn't attract his sons. They have chosen to live like their ancestors. They want to hunt, move about, and sleep in the forest.
Naminin mo kayo eh.
For 1,500 years, swallows' nests have been used in traditional Chinese pharmacopoeia. They are also the main ingredient of a soup exclusively reserved for rich gourmets. Majat is certainly not aware of the real value of what he holds in his hands. By handing the nests over to a Malaysian trader, the Punan will obtain only what they need. When the nests leave Borneo, however, their price per kilogram will be more than 13 million rupees, over $2,000. Before nightfall, Majat goes down into the valley to check a trap he set a few days earlier. But the animal he captured is not the kind he expected. A little bear cub fell into the trap. He's lost a lot of weight and might even be dead. Abandoned by his mother, either because he was too weak or too ill, the cub has no chance of surviving. Saloon does whatever he can to help him regain his strength, but fruit or rice cannot replace mother's milk. In the jungle, it's very rare to be able to observe a bear, much less to touch and pet one. Adult bears are very dangerous. Majat has never killed a bear. He says that their meat is not good and causes headaches. For now, the cub is just one more curiosity, a poor, defenseless animal which everyone takes turns looking after. One morning, the Punan were no longer there. They had disappeared, as they had in the past when being chased by headhunters. They have never been like other warlike tribes, which consider skulls as symbols of strength and fertility. Today, however, they must confront a totally different danger. Although the Punan have been able to escape headhunters for centuries, they may not be able to resist the island's deforestation program. Many families have already resorted to a more sedentary existence. Majat and his people have chosen the jungle, far from woodcutters, to live as free men.